Welcome to another episode of the Start podcast. I am your host, Brady Silverwood. Wow, we have a really cool episode for you guys today. Before we get started, I would like to do this new thing where I share a positive story that I hear about in the news. When I did my run across America, me and my friend Nate, we just noticed the America we saw was so much more positive and generous than you might see on media. So yeah, I just want to share something positive every week that you guys can hear about and hopefully be inspired to do something positive in your neighborhood as well. So this story comes out of Toledo, Ohio. A successful businessman named Pete Cadens just recently returned to the city he grew up in, Toledo, and he showed up at this high school, Jessup Wakeman High School, and in front of 108 of their to-be graduating seniors, he told them that he was going to pay for their entire college tuition
Wow.
upon graduation of high school. And then he also said if they had one parent or guardian that they also wanted that also wanted to attend college, he would also pay for their tuition.
Wow.
So it comes out to about $3 million that he's paying for these kids and guardians tuition, and that's up to like 4.5 years of college and post secondary education. So this is like a really big story, and I mean the stories I share, it just happens to be the first story, but even like the smallest thing you can do, just smiling, saying something nice to someone can change their day. But like what this guy just did is gonna create like a ripple effect in Toledo, and I think he's already trying to get other schools nearby to hopefully or other maybe entrepreneurs to also do this for other schools nearby, so all of Toledo can get, their high school students college tuition paid for. So just I thought that was pretty remarkable and thought it would be a cool thing to share with you guys.
Who is
So
this guy
cool.
again?
So his name is Pete Cadens. He's just
How
like
was
this
he able to even do
successful
that?
businessman.
That's
I don't know.
insane.
Yeah, it's again, it's just like it's remarkable. So I thought that was a cool thing to share. All right, so who do I have next to me right now? I have a pretty cool intro, I think, for her. This is Kim Rose, one of the most epic painters and artists I've ever came across.
Thanks.
She's known for her elegant usage of 24K gold in her artwork. Her trend-setting designs, like Kiss, have been spread all throughout the internet. She is redefining what it means to be an artist in 2020. She sells all her pieces online, including a piece that is sold for over $30,000. This is the coolest artist I know on Instagram and just out there right now. Kim Rose, thank you for
Thanks.
coming on the podcast today.
Yeah, of course.
So yeah, I mean, like, I think the reason I'm really intrigued by art is it's kind of ironic, but I have like no artistic talent at all. Like if you told me to just like draw like a human face, it would probably look like a dog or something.
I
So
mean, those are tough anyway, so you're good.
so anyways, like I found your artwork on Instagram, and I was just like blown away by your art, and I think so many people have been blown away by it as well. How did you like get into art, I guess?
I think, like most artists, I just always loved it. I think a lot of kids, when you grow up, you just don't have any fear of anything, I don't think. So you just go for what you think is fun. And so I've always loved art, played with it. Went to college, studied business, minored in art just because it was fun for me. And I really thoroughly enjoyed it. And so after I had no real intentions or of thinking that I would realistically be able to become an artist, like a fine artist, because that's not something they really tell you. There's this whole stereotype of, oh, you're going to be a broke artist, things like that. And so I want to say seriously, doing what I'm doing has been probably the past year, being able to actually do what I love and then support myself off of it. But I think the steps to get there, maybe in the past 2 years, I've been kind of trying to wing myself off and start focusing more on what I'm doing now, which is the fine art, like large abstract art pieces.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So, that's kind of like now your main focus is like
Oh,
selling those big
1,000%.
pieces.
That's like the bread and butter. That's how I could, because I do the large scale abstract art, and then I also do line art, but that's not really the bill payer at all. It's the large abstract pieces.
Gotcha. Yeah, I've seen some of the line art that's like kind of maybe on shirts and stuff.
Yeah, well, I did for a while. I did it on shirts. It was just way too time intensive for I think what I was doing, but it was a fun way to kind of test the medium over there. But now what we're doing with those is we're doing art prints. And so they're a lot more affordable than the large abstract art pieces. And what's really cool is people just have this beautiful connection with the designs that I couldn't have predicted. And also the one, I'm not sure if you saw, there are two designs actually. One's Kiss. It's like of
Okay,
two
yeah.
people. Yeah.
An
Like,
Embrace, is that
an
the other one?
Embrace.
Okay,
Those two,
yeah.
they went viral without credit to me, which was like, oh, that's great. It was affirming as an artist to say, oh, people actually really genuinely like this, but it was also kind of a slap in the face just because the pages who reposted just cropped out my signature. So this
Yeah.
design was everywhere, but no one knew that I was the artist. Until, I mean, we ran a campaign to try and bring people back to my page from that, and now I'm doing collaborations with large brands and stuff like that, which I'm very excited for.
Yeah.
So that'll bring people more to me. But that is more of just, I want to say more of a passion project, just wanting to be able to connect with people and their stories and things like that. People get it tattooed all the time, like
Yeah.
most probably the Kiss
How does that
design.
make you feel, like to know
The-
that something you just like drew out is now going to be permanently
I
on
don't think
someone's body?
it ever, because I just posted about like 2 yesterday, different ones, and it never really loses, I think, just like a little flutter in your heart of like, oh, that's so cool, like it's on your body, you know?
Yeah.
And some people will get it as like couples tattoos, some people will get it with their friends, which is insane. And I think the first time I saw it, I just couldn't believe it, because I don't even have tattoos of my stuff on me.
Yeah.
So, or actually I do now, but I didn't at the time when someone first got my design tattooed on. So that was crazy for me.
Because you're like, I love it, but
I don't know if
it's
I
not
put that
on
on
my
my
body
body.
forever. Yeah, wow.
Exactly. But a lot of people did, and what was even more beautiful is we would get people messaging us, saying kind of the story. Like this one woman, her and her husband got the Embrace design tattooed on them. And it was just so gorgeous because I have assistants that help me with my Instagram and stuff like that, so messaging and things like that. But if it's something that's really, really important, they'll bring it to my attention. She goes, Kim, you gotta see this. This one woman wrote in, they got matching tattoos, and she said, hi, I've been looking for a design that could really relate to me and my husband and our story. And she said that they had a miscarriage, I want to say a couple years ago, and it was just heartbreaking for them, as a miscarriage is. And she said when she saw the design for the first time that it felt like they brought their baby girl home.
Wow.
And me and Maddie, we were just like sobbing. It was
Man.
such a beautiful, and she said, thank you for this design and for giving us just this peace in looking at the design. And so and we have more stories too of just people, how they've connected to these designs that I could have never have predicted, you know? And so that's why it's just, there's so much good that does come from the line drawings too, even if they don't pay the bills necessarily.
Yeah, man. I mean, like that just goes to show how your art is really connecting with people. And do you remember like your first, I guess, like big piece that you sold, or your first maybe like art piece?
Art piece?
Yeah.
I think I remember because I'd been selling, I think when I decided I wanted to go big, or that I could afford to because they're really expensive to make.
Yeah.
We use really good materials. I want to say it was about a year ago, but the price, it was really just covering at the time the cost to make it, and then like a little bit extra.
Yeah.
But I needed things in my portfolio. So I have a manager now, and he is actually my friend who's my housemate, and he did
cool.
Mission Marisol with me. He's
Oh,
great.
nice.
But we just work so well together. I said, dude, why don't you just be my manager? Because he's really good at emails and things like that. and I said, we need to up the prices. And that's the goal in art, is to keep upping the prices. And they've been increasing. They're going to keep increasing, especially as I get in more galleries and my name gets a little more spread and things like that. But we'd upped the price. And this one client, he called, he said, hey, I'm interested. I just want to have a quick phone call. And so I said, yeah. And I'm terrified of phone calls even now, like with friends, it's fine. But with people that when there's money involved, even when we were asking for donor money for the Mission Marisol, which is our nonprofit, it wasn't even my money, but I was still nervous to ask for it.
Yeah, I think you told me that.
Oh,
That's
yeah,
funny.
it was still terrifying. But this guy called, and, he was super excited, so it got me really excited. And he's like, yeah, I really love what you do. Your art, like your abstract pieces, I've been looking for something like that. I haven't been able to find anything like that. I want a huge piece. He saw the pricing sheet at this point because he'd been in contact with my manager. And he's like, I'll take a 6 foot by 4 foot one, which at the time is one of my larger pieces. And I just remember being like, yeah, that's wonderful. I'll follow up via email, things like that. I hung up and I was brand new to my studio. Like you've been there, so you see how it works. But for those who haven't seen, they're basically like little, I guess when I say little shops. So we have neighbors. I have like 7 neighbors. And I didn't know them that well at the time. But as soon as I hung up, I ran into one of the guys' offices and I was like, dude, I just closed the biggest deal of my life.
Wow.
And I was like, I am stoked. And he was like, well, congratulations. Like, So that, and I think, and it just kept happening after that. It kept happening. And I still get excited every time. Mainly because it's like, okay, people are excited and invested in the art, but a lot of the times the people that really like the art, they're just wonderful as well. Even people on the other side of the world, you can just tell via email. Some of them are so cute and so cool. Yeah, it's pretty great.
So like that first kind of feeling of like, wow, like I can do this.
That for me was also affirmation, because at the time I had just enough money to move into the studio. It was first and last, and a 3-month minimum of renting the place. And I was like, well, this is all my money, and I was freaking out. I said, I'm just going to go for it and see what happens. That sale meant that I could stay there, and so that for me was, you're doing good. You're going in the right direction. Just keep going type thing, which was great. And then haven't looked back since. So it's been good. Oh my gosh.
That's awesome. And that's like kind of what this podcast is like a lot about is, getting people to just like go for the things that they want to be doing. And then once you kind of get momentum, it's like, oh, well, I've came this far, let me just like kind of keep going.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. So this was just a personal, like really curious about this. I see in a lot of your pictures and videos, you're usually drinking wine and then dancing and listening to music while you are painting these amazing pieces of art. What is like your go-to wine / best song to get down to?
Oh, okay. So so many good. So it's funny, for the amount of wine that I drink, I'm not necessarily a wine connoisseur. Like, I will take a $2 check. I feel like I've gotten a little more picky now, but the wine that I'm currently loving is, shout out to Trader Joe's.
Love Trader Joe's.
I don't know the exact brand, but it is an almond sparkling wine, and it's $5, but it pops just like champagne. It's great when refrigerated. It is the best. I love it. So definitely recommend that for a wine. And then for song, it's a song called Vertigo by Khalid. I was listening to that just on repeat.
Vertigo?
Recently. Vertigo, yeah. And even when I was posting about it, a bunch of people were asking, like, what's the name of the song? Because it's one of his older songs, and he's brilliant. But it just popped up on my Pandora one day, and I said, I'm just going to keep repeating this, because it's very, especially when you get it blasting, it's just very angelic in a way.
Yeah.
And so it's just fun, like when you're drinking wine and just listening to that and just painting. It's probably one of the best things ever.
Man, that's so cool. You're just kind of like in that flow.
Yeah, definitely. And to be clear, I can't drink wine through all the parts of the process. Like for resin, that's a chemical. It's all chemical. So I have tried, having a glass of wine with that, but it's just the coat didn't turn
Oh,
out
I
that
see what
well.
you're saying. Like when you have to wear the
Oh
masks
yeah, when
and
you have to wear the
everything.
mask. I mean, even I'm saying like if you get buzzed before, I feel like it's
Uh,
best to work sober because it's
yeah.
such an intense process.
Yeah, yeah.
But with other parts of the art, you can definitely have some wine and have fun with it. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Like I'm just imagining if I was drinking and painting, it would be probably 10 times worse.
No,
Um,
that's the fun part of
yeah.
it.
Okay, so I did like a deep dive. I told you this already. On your
I saw
Instagram.
you liked and commented on a picture from. I saw people don't think you see. I don't know why, but it like
Yeah.
popped up. You liked one. I think it was like from 2016 or something like that
Yeah.
of me painting a mural, and you were like hashtag
It might have been the first one,
the
maybe, because
first
I
one.
only because I
Yeah.
was going through so many, and I was like, I'm going through all these. I should like some, Like, but anyway,
Like, I'll
so
go ahead and like some of these.
so I noticed in 2016 you took a trip with one of your friends to Vegas, and you guys kind of just went to like all like the really, I guess, specialty stores and like
Yeah.
fancy maybe galleries, and I think like you said on your Instagram you left that trip just like with the hope that one day you could sell your art in one
Yeah.
of those galleries. Tell me a
Yeah.
little about that.
So actually, so the spot that we went to in particular, it's a shopping center, like right on the strip of Vegas. If anyone's ever been to Las Vegas, called the Shops at Crystals. And one of the things that's really nice about that shopping center is all the shops in there are specifically like design luxury brands. So like Louis Vuitton, Gucci, Prada, any brand name, it's there. And so, and it's small. It's not super huge. It's 2 floors, but if you're there, you're a designer really expensive. And so there were no art galleries in there at the time, but I just thought, oh man, this is the vibe that I want for my art. Because when I think of my art, especially with just the craftsmanship, the work that goes into it, and the intentions that I have with the design, I just think of luxury, and of high end. And so, was really excited about that. Didn't know how any of that would happen. And so, fast forward, when was it? It was like last year. I walked by a gallery in the Grand Canal Shops, which is right nearby, a bigger shopping center. And we were walking by. It was for Max's sister's birthday, I think. We were drunk and just having a good time in Vegas. I said, "Oh, that's a cool gallery." And I said, "Yeah, that is a cool gallery." And what you're not technically supposed to do in the art world is you're not supposed to walk into a gallery and say like, "Hey, who's your curator?" Like, "Hey,
Yeah.
I'm an artist.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
want to have
Is
my art
that's like
here."
prohibited or?
So the more I've learned about it, there's different levels of galleries, and they have different levels of prestige for whatever reason. And the ones that are the most have been in the game for a while, certain you just don't approach. They approach you.
I feel like you're like changing the game of
Yeah,
art.
well, in a way, because I'm all for being a game changer, but I think the more I understand, because I never want to disrespect somebody
Yeah, yeah.
or a system or a thing.
I can see
Because
that, yeah.
to be fair, some of these people, they've worked their whole lives studying art, mastering their craft. Some of it's just family generations deep. And so I do want to respect that, but at the same time, like there's this one quote like no artists, basically the revolutionary ones, have never followed the rules. You've always stepped outside of it, which I thought was cool. And so yeah, challenge that a little bit by walking into this gallery and saying, first we were trying to play it cool. I was like, "Oh, what's the price range of that piece?" to see if we were in the similar price range.
Yeah.
And they were, which I was happy about.
Yeah.
And the ways that the art dealers were really great in helping answering my questions. I really liked that, how they were very knowledgeable about the pieces and they were really genuinely excited about the pieces.
Yeah.
So I said, "Well, the thing that I was cringing, I was like, I'm an artist." And I was like, "Do you have your like curator's information?" And she says, "Yeah, here's his business card. You can email him." And so we went in. I was in Vegas again with some girls a couple months later. So we arranged a meeting, and it was me and my friend. I said, "Hey," we drove up to Vegas together. I said, "Hey, I have this meeting with the gallery. Can you come in with me? Just to see how it is before we meet up with the girls." And we did, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours. This guy, Orlando, was one of the sweetest, most genuine people that you could expect, which isn't necessarily always expected. You don't know what you're getting into, but he's on the chair at St. Jude's, and we had just had
Okay.
our Mission Marisol event, so we started talking about that. And he had previously started a nonprofit to help kids, Hispanic kids in school. And so we just had a lot of similarities that we started talking about that wasn't art, that we just really got excited about. And so he said, well, I'll tell you what, your art, we'll do a little trial. What we're going to do is we'll plan for an event. You can pick the date, and we will have a show featuring your art. We'll see how it goes. And if it's successful, we will have you in our gallery. We'll represent you.
Yeah. So it's like no risk for them,
No, I mean,
And
he was wonderful. He said they'll take care of the drink sponsorships, the event planning, the inviting people, which is actually very huge. Because we had just, if anyone's ever thrown an event, that's a lot of work. And so he was actually, kind of going out on a limb just to see what it would be like. And in addition to that, he was waiving. So normally if you make any sales, the gallery will take a percentage, which is fair. He said if we make any sales that night, we can just donate it to charity. We can do
Oh, that's
50-50
awesome.
Mission Marisol St. Jude's,
That's cool.
which was great. It was wonderful. And so I asked him, because I was nervous, I said, what's the definition of a successful show? Is it sales? What is it? And he says it's not sales. It's people's reaction to the piece. He's like, I want to look at their faces and see if they light up when they look at the art. That to him is a successful show. And
That's
so,
cool.
of course, like months before, I was posting all on Instagram saying, hey guys, please come.
Yeah,
Like, I
please
know
come.
you guys like
Please
my art.
come, light up. I want to
Light
see your
up.
faces lit up.
Basically, I even remember telling my girls, because some of my friends were in Vegas, I had such incredible support, I think, from my friends. Like, I had a girl fly out from New York. I had fans fly out from Dubai, from Texas. We had people flying from everywhere, which was just surreal and insane to meet, like, fans, I guess, per se, of people that were just as dumbfounded to meet me as I was to meet them. Because I remember the girl from Dubai, she goes, I can't believe it's you. And I said, I can't believe it's you. Like,
Yeah. You
like,
came all the way from Dubai.
right?
Jeez.
And she was wonderful. And they obviously lit up at the art. But what was nice is when I sold the piece, the 30,000 piece, I met up with the gallery because we met up a few months before the event and told him how I was doing. He says, well, no matter what, he's like, either I will represent you or I will find the right gallery that fits you, because I really think you're emerging, which was great to hear from someone who's kind of been in the art world. And then luckily they ended up wanting to work with me. And so this gallery I couldn't have predicted, but they were about to open up a new gallery in the Shops at Crystals, which was the very high-end luxury shopping center that I'd visited a long time ago.
That you had first in 2016
Yeah,
checked out. Wow.
visited, and they're the
That's so
only
cool.
art gallery in that shopping center. And that's just, for me, I couldn't have predicted or planned. It just was serendipitous, but it was great.
Yeah.
To have my first gallery be in one of the most luxurious shopping centers in the world. I was really happy about that. But yeah, you
That's
just...
so awesome. I mean, like, I think the reason I kind of got excited about that story is a lot of people talk about visualization and like, of course, there's so many more things that need to happen. But like right before my run across America, before heading off to the East Coast, I actually like went to the beach I was gonna finish my run at, and I tried to just visualize all the people, friends, and family there on the last day, and like.
Yeah.
Throughout my run when it got really hard, like I would just visualize that beach, So I think it is like a powerful tool, and like, you were there and you're like, my art is going to be here one day.
Yeah.
And then now it is. So
That's insane. That's really cool that you did that. But yeah, it's the power of manifestation too. I think step one, like even when I have interns, one of the first things I'll ask them is like, what's one goal that you have? And I think it's really good to speak it to people sometimes when they're like, I don't have a goal. And I was like, cool, think about it.
yeah.
And they'll come back to me the next week. It's like, actually, here's some of my goals. And once you realize the goals that you do have, like we're very goal oriented, like me and the team, things just start happening. And especially when you write them down, I'm a firm believer in writing things down.
Yeah.
I taught a
it's
workshop
huge.
in Miami, and the first time I was like, alrighty, ladies. It was a group of girls. It was great. They were wonderful. I said, so obviously you're going to be learning art, but I want this to be more than that. And I was like, share a little bit about the things that I put on my list and some of them that had come true. And I said, I want you guys to put, and it can be big or small, you know? And some of the, like this one girl, she's like, I want to be able to afford to buy my mom a house. She's given me everything and she has nothing type thing. And it was like big or small, you write these things down and then things just start happening, you know?
Yeah.
Because you're really, really, and it's not like it just magically happens. You have to work for it. But once you have a goal in mind, it's a lot easier to
Yeah.
kind of break down the steps of getting there, you know?
And especially, I feel like if you don't write goals down, like when you do, it becomes so real. It's like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
this
And
is on
almost
paper now.
scary, too, because
Yeah.
sometimes people are frightened to admit their goals sometimes because they're like, oh, what if it doesn't work out? What if it doesn't happen type thing? And you have to risk it, you know? So what if it doesn't work out? Whatever. Get a new goal. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
how it
Keep
goes.
going.
Yeah, just keep going.
Okay. This might be like a little embarrassing, but I thought this was like funny. I was like, maybe someone who's in art could hear this and be like, oh, wow, like she's not 100% perfect. So I heard a
Definitely
story
not.
where it was like you, and I think you were with your boyfriend Max, and you like were painting and almost burned down a garage.
Oh, yes. Well, actually, to remove him from fault, when I almost burned down
Oh, he
the
was not
house,
with
he
you?
wasn't with
Oh,
me. It was
okay.
just me. And
Okay.
so, no, I mean, the chemicals that I work with, there's a lot of trial and error. And to affirm that, I am far from perfect. You look at
Yeah.
Instagram and you will see highlights of a person's life. You don't know their day to day. You know, you don't
Yeah.
know the struggles that they go through. And I try to keep it transparent. I'm just a very optimistic person by nature. I'm the kind of person that something bad will happen. I'll be like, oh, cool. What do we learn from that? You know, but,
Yeah.
and so that particular incident, I was still learning how to work with resin, and I put some highly flammable paints in the resin, and you use propane to pop the bubbles and make it get
Okay.
smooth, glossy finish.
Yeah.
And I just remember, because I was wearing a respirator, the flame just kind of went up, and I immediately just started sweating. I was like, oh God, oh, I was like, what the fuck do I do? In this moment, like trying to see if I get the fire extinguisher. I didn't want to ruin the art piece because it's really expensive. And so eventually it, on its own, died out. It just got engulfed and then went out. But oh my God. And none of my housemates were home at the time, so it wasn't
Yeah.
until a couple months later that I told them, I was like, hey guys. I was like, so when I was 2 years and I almost like set the house on fire, and they were like, God damn it, Kim. Like,
That's great.
yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't like the way at least I'm picturing it doesn't seem like it. I think you might maybe exaggerated. I don't know if it was gonna actually burn down. It was probably like just like a.
It was a big
It was
flame.
gonna like catch on to something.
What was the enamel, which is a highly on the bottle it says do not get near flames. Specifically says do not get near. So it was a pretty
Okay.
big like torch up for a moment.
The reason I say that is like girls will like tell me things sometimes, and they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, like my like nails are so dirty" or something like that, or so long, and then I'll look at them and be like,
Oh,
"What
it's
are you
not
talking
even.
about? It's not." Yeah, yeah.
I feel like we tend to do that anyway, just to exaggerate certain things
Yeah.
to prove a point in the story. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe, yeah, I don't think the house probably would have burned down. Now, could I have caused damage? Definitely.
Okay,
Most
that's cool.
definitely.
That's cool. Awesome. Okay, so you kind of touched a little bit. I was actually going to ask you about this. You touched a little bit on how over the years with your artwork, I think it was your kiss piece, and then the embrace one that some people like used it, and then it's Kim Rose art that she has like her symbol on every art piece. They would like repurpose it on the internet without your logo and stuff.
Yeah.
Really, just like that just sucks. What I guess like what how were you able to like get through that? Because like
That,
it's your
yeah.
art, it's like your it probably means so much to you.
Oh
so to
yeah,
see
it's
people
my
do that,
baby. It's like my heart and soul. Any artist, it's your heart and soul you're putting on a piece of paper. Luckily for me, and this is just because I'm fortunate, it's not my main moneymaker. There were 2 types of incidences where it was stolen, because we did a campaign. It was #StolenKiss. Received a lot of love. A lot of people started sharing that. They were like, "This piece has been stolen." And so that was really wonderful to see a community of people just come together for that was really meaningful. So there were two types of reposts. One of them was because at the time when I first drew the design, I didn't know it was going to go so big, and I was also just newer. Because when I first posted, just post because I like it. I didn't know what was going to happen to it. So I had my signature very small in the left-hand corner. Now I have it centered and more hard to miss and crop out. But I think what had happened is someone just had reposted and they cropped it out. I hope accidentally, that they would have just missed it, you know? But whatever reason, they cropped it and posted it, and other people, when they were reposting, they didn't know the original artist, they were just reposting art, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't think there was any malicious intent necessarily in that. Pinterest and Tumblr are just huge reblogging
Yeah.
things that artists get no credit. Like you'll see a bunch of beautiful aesthetic pictures and like someone took that, but no one knows where they came from. And that's just kind of, there's good and bad to everything. That's one of the bad thing about online. The other that have that's been bad, and I've only had this happen terribly bad once, is where someone purposely photoshopped my name out and theirs on top, which
Yeah,
was
that's a little
just, and I
malicious.
just remember this one girl, she kept posting it on her page, and I said, hey. And I always DM first and approach and say, hey, can you please take this down? You know, I don't want
Yeah.
my work getting out without my name on it. This is mine. You might have found it on Instagram or Pinterest. That's okay. Like, just please take it down. And, you know, she would take it down, but then she would post another one of my stuff. And I said, hey, like, you need to not do this type thing. And it got to the point where it had kept happening. And I said, honestly, I'm going to have to, like, post about this if you keep continuing doing this. And she was just very aggressive and very mean about it. And her page was way bigger than mine. So I was like, why are you doing this to me? This is my
Yeah.
work. And so I post on Instagram. I was like, hey guys, this girl's like photoshopping her name onto my art. And I was like, which isn't cool. And I was like, for me and every other artist having your name stolen out there, like, don't repost things if you don't, you know, just like do your best as a community to give credit to the artist. That was the main message of it. I was
Yeah.
like, this has happened to me. We should all be more conscious about making sure that this doesn't happen. And people just like flooded to her Instagram. They were like, how could you do this? You need to not do this. Like, this is terrible. And so she archived the post, she put them back up. But I think so that it was like a temporary fix, I think. But the thing is, people understood the message, which is just protect your artist. Even if you aren't an artist, everyone plays a part in kind of helping give credit back to the artist.
Yeah.
That's only happened once. But so yeah, we did the Stolen Kiss campaign to kind of bring attention back to my page. And like I said, we're collaborating with like big companies and things like that where I have this jewelry collaboration where my designs are going to be on jewelry, which I'm super stoked on. And they're big, so it's
Yeah.
just things like that will help bring attention back to that I'm the artist, that was my piece, you know?
Yeah, and I think like so with the clothing company I ran, like the designs we would come up with were pretty generic, so it wasn't as like unique as the art. Like the art you create is yours, and the art we would do is like, a lot of the same swimwear companies would sell the same suits or whatnot. But yeah, we had companies come out that were like knockoff of our brand and selling our
So, you know,
exact
if you're doing something right, a
named
company in
suits.
China
That's
will
what I was
make
gonna say though.
the
I was
same
gonna say
thing
that
for
like
cheaper.
I was gonna say that um at least like me on the outside when I look at that, I look at it as like you are doing something right because these people almost like if you can remove yourself from it and think, you know what, I'm just gonna work harder and at a certain point try my best to protect my art, but like if someone maliciously does this, that's on them.
Yeah. And
Because
another,
like all those people reacted so strongly, right, on
yeah.
Pinterest and whatnot to your
Oh,
art,
yeah.
so it's like deep down that they dig you.
And
And
another
your
thing is
stuff.
if people are copying, because this is a common thing that happens in the art world, if they're copying you, because copyright is very like nitty gritty and specific, you know? And I've had people that have, I mean, with my fine art, luckily for me, that's taken years to perfect and craft. So even people that try to copy just can't.
Yeah.
But even with like the line works, people that are copying that or people that are copying other artists' things, they can't steal your creativity. They can steal
No.
something that you've created, but you're always going to be ahead of them. And that's fine. You just keep moving forward. You know, you're going to
Yeah.
be the first to come out with the next shit. So,
Yeah.
you
That's
know,
an
and
awesome mentality. I
I
love
mean,
that.
it's the mentality that you have to have because you can
Yeah.
either sit and wallow in it or you can do something about it. And it's like come out with more content,
Yeah.
you know? But you got to be tough in certain industries like
Of
this one.
course. Of
And I
course.
feel, especially in the fashion world too, because I know a lot of people take pride in their designs too and stuff like that. Like one of my friends, she is a clothing designer, and Fashion Nova pretty much to the T stole one of her designs, and they're way bigger than she is.
Mm-hmm.
And she was the one that she said that as well. She's like, you know, they can't steal my creativity,
Wow.
and like we're
I
just
think
gonna
that
keep
goes
moving
back
forward.
to like you said this, but like your ability to stay optimistic and to kind of like stay positive. It seems like that's it's helped me a lot in like the things I've been able to accomplish, and it sounds like it's helped you a lot too. I can
I
just
think
like
you
see
have
it
to
in
be.
like hearing you
You
talk
have
about
to
it,
be.
you know.
Or at least, even if you don't fully believe it, just say it. And then
Yeah.
you'll start to believe it. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm fine, it's fine. Like, my
Because
housemate, she
vice
knows,
versa,
I'm
if
fine,
you're
it's fine.
telling yourself, I don't feel good, I don't feel good, and like maybe you feel okay,
Yeah.
then you just keep saying it, and then like you're like, oh crap, like I really don't feel
You said,
good,
because your
you know?
brain is so powerful, you know?
Yeah.
And it's okay to be upset about things. It's okay to, you know, feel negative emotions, but like get it out of your system and don't dwell in it to the best of your ability. If you want to be in any type of like creative or entrepreneurial type space, that's huge, I
Yeah.
think,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
know?
Roll with the punches.
Yep.
Okay, I saw this cool story about an Ivy League professor that kind of told you, "Hey, I don't think you'll really be able to sell your art on Instagram. I think just the galleries is the way to go." Um, yeah, you want to talk about that? I just think
So,
that's like
first off, I
awesome
love how
story.
much attention that has gotten because I was terrified at first when I posted it because I didn't want to disrespect him. Also, I don't even know if he has an Instagram or if he would see it, but I did go to him approaching because a big thing if you want to, I think, be an entrepreneur, creative, or learn anything is to ask people that are more experts in that field. Say like, hey, can I please take you out to coffee? Can I take you out to dinner? Can I just poke your brain about a few things? Like, thank you so much, things like that. So I'd asked him, you know, like, can I please take you out to coffee? I'd love to pick your brain on a couple of things. And so, because he did offer some good advice, but a lot of the things that he said were as fact were just so outdated. And I realized if I felt crushed by some of the things he said, other people have felt crushed by things that similar people have said.
Yeah.
You know, because he kind of represents a very old-fashioned way of thinking, and that is you're not going to be a successful artist unless you're in galleries. That's not true, period. Like, that's just not true anymore because we have online media that's just way different. And so some of the things that he said, and this is when I knew I could just toss everything he said out the door, is when he was like, you're not going to sell art for more than a couple grand on Instagram. At the time, I already had. So I
So
was
you're
just
like,
like,
all right,
yeah, I was like,
that's not true.
yeah, but I'm
Yeah.
not going to straight up try and argue with someone that I'm trying to ask for advice. I said, you know, in a
Yeah.
polite way, it was like, I don't know if that's necessarily true, you know? But yeah, saying that you kind of had to, and at the time, you know, because I only just recently got with a gallery. And to be fair, like, they haven't helped me nearly as much as online has. You know, most all the sales come through social, like Instagram.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, he said that was upsetting. And then shortly after is when I sold my big piece, you know, and I think it just goes to show don't let people, as cliche as it sounds, tell you what you can't do, even if they're experts in that field.
Yeah.
Every field is so constantly changing, you know, and so you just, if you're passionate and eager about something, just make the rules up. I don't know, like.
Yeah, and I definitely cling to this story because when I was a senior in high school, my marketing teacher, we had like this like marketing project, and kind of like that quote you said earlier, I totally broke the rules and did not stick to the instructions of the project, and the teacher like afterwards pretty much emailed my parents, and he was trying to like flunk me out of the class and all this stuff, and like
Oh,
he literally said Brady does not understand marketing. He doesn't know anything about marketing,
wow.
and like I just anyways, I think a lot of people out there, because we've been able to do cool things, but like if we've experienced that, I think it's very common that people will maybe think, oh, this is how I did it, so this is how it has to be done.
Yep.
And then they like put that on youth and kind of say, if you don't do it this way, you're not going to be able to do it.
Or be successful, which isn't true at all.
Yeah.
And it maybe it was true back then, but it just isn't anymore. And that sucks that you had to have that from a professor, you know?
Yeah, but
Like,
I don't know. I like probably similar to you. Like I just like let that drive me, and then like
Same.
when I was in college, like anyone that knows anything about the swimsuit company, like we pretty much broke the internet
Was
on
that a big just, like-
Instagram. So yeah, no, it was just more so. I looked at that always as actually like I'm never gonna say that to someone. Like
Yeah.
I'm never gonna be the one that could discourage someone. You know.
Yeah, 1,000%. And I know, because this kind of goes along, and I'm probably going to be, like, fucking up the specifics of this, but I know that this is more or less true, someone can Google it. But it was, like, at 24 or 25, do you know who Lucille Ball is? I Love Lucy.
oh,
She was
from
a
I Love
famous,
Lucy. Yeah.
She
My
was
mom
told
loves
she
that
couldn't.
show.
I
Yeah.
love that show.
Yeah.
She was told she couldn't act. Well, she ended up being one of the first female actresses to have her own show. Oprah was fired from like a television job. Steve Jobs was bankrupt, and like all of these people that had all these terrible things and were told that they like shouldn't be doing this stuff ended up, you know, you can get down about that, or you can be like, no, I know I'm good. And then
Yeah,
you can just
yeah.
like keep going.
Like not me. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And to a
that's-
certain extent, because if your very close friends and family are like, you know, you have to use discretion, because if you keep chipping at something and if you're not getting anywhere, maybe you should redirect. But for the most part, if you know that this is something you're passionate about and you're good at, then like don't let them tell you can't do it.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. That's great. Okay. I want to hear about the Marisol project, because like I've heard a little bit. Let me rephrase that. I want the audience to hear about it because I think it's super epic. You just started. You had your first charity auction last December. Is that right?
November.
Last November.
I mean, it was November like 30th, so it was practically December.
Okay. And you're raising money for kids in Mexico.
Mm-hmm.
And it was her first time doing it. Just tell me about that experience. I know you were really scared and you didn't know how it was going to go.
That's the
But
thing. I was fearless at the time. I'm scared now.
Okay.
Because
okay.
of what I know.
Oh, okay.
No, but it was, at the time, it was me. I was telling my housemate, who's now my manager, I said, you know, I've been wanting to do something. I've been wanting to use art for good. Because I'm a firm believer that, you know, if someone's blessed with talents, they can use that for good, whatever that be for them. And I said, I really want to use art as a way to be able to help these kids in Mexico. And so I told him, I was like, you know, I saw another artist had a charity art auction. I think we can do it bigger and better, like all these things. And keep in mind, I've only volunteered once at a charity auction before. Like I didn't even know we were getting into. But he said, you know what? I'm down. He's like, whatever you need help with, I'll help with. Like, he said, you've inspired me to want to take action. And I wasn't even meaning to. I was just excited about it genuinely.
Yeah.
And he was like, I'm excited about it. And so through that, I think when someone's genuinely excited about something, like even if you're running across America, people kind of get excited because you're excited.
Yeah.
And then if they really resonate with it, they kind of take ownership and want to participate in,
Yeah.
which is kind of how the whole birth of Mission Marisol started. And so we had 6 months to plan the event. It was in 2 years ago, so 2018. And an event like that takes a year to plan. But God damn it, we did it.
Yeah.
And we had a wonderful team of interns that volunteered. We all volunteered. None of us got paid. To basically get artists from all over the world to... we had this beautiful venue, City Club Los Angeles, which is like on the 51st floor, and it's just like glass windows everywhere. And like 25 artists from around the world. We had live Spanish dancers. We had a live band. We had live artists, which is really cool. And just got a bunch of people together to basically, you know, they bid on the art, and that money, all of it goes to the kids in Mexico. And so that's kind of the long story, super long story short of what it is. But yeah, and so we, at the very end of that, had no, because we were just focused on getting that event done. I hadn't slept in like a month. At the event, people that were at it said, "Oh my God, I can't wait for next year's event." And I just remember looking at Jay, one of them, she's actually still an intern now. We just looked at each other and we were like, yeah, like
You're
next
like,
year's event. I
there's
was
gonna
like,
be a next year
I was
event.
like, I can't even think about tomorrow. Like,
Yeah.
I think I showed you the picture of me lying on the floor.
Yeah,
the
like
day
you
after.
weren't sleeping
I
much.
was dead. Oh, it wasn't even not sleeping much, and it wasn't even worried. It was there was so much that we were doing. Like, it's not like I was just laying awake worried. We were actually just doing. There was so much shit to get done because whatever can go wrong definitely goes wrong. And so after that, because I personally invest a lot of my own finances into that, and so it was our first time. We just wanted to get through it. Now in hindsight, looking back, in order to take care of other people, you have to take care of yourself first. I drained myself financially, physically, in every single way that I possibly could, artistically. And so 2 months after that, I didn't do art. I just had to basically try and survive and get my money back. And so I did a lot of photography freelance because that's what I had done before, just to make money fast. And, eventually got back into art. But what I learned with that is that, okay, so that was 2018. 2019, I needed to focus on my art because I said, this is what I want to do. I want to have a solid foundation. And 2020, we'll have another Mission Marisol event. That's what we've been telling people. It's now 2020. And so we're just starting to reboot up right now. We actually just posted, we have an intern team right now of, I'm trying to remember, because we actually are going to have our first meeting with the full team.
Cool.
This upcoming week, which is cool. And we've now opened it up to people across the world because we're going to communicate with them digitally and have them be basically like the representatives of their area for us, which is going to be cool. Because I said, whoever is passionate about this, I want them to be able to jump on board with it.
Yeah.
And so, we're gearing up for 2020. We're so much more knowledgeable now.
Yeah, you've already done it once.
Done
it's
it
like
once.
You have the experience a little.
Exactly.
You got the momentum.
A lot. We know so much. We have so many more connections of like what we had for last year's venue that we can put. Because there's things that you don't think about. There's like the drink sponsors, so like wine, vodka, food. Like you need to have food. Transportate like valet parking, like the venue, like insurance even for events and things like that. And God, what else was there? Getting the donors, getting people to the event. Like there's so many little moving parts. It in itself is just a whole company, which is why at first I was wanting to see if that could maybe be a side of Kim Rose Art. It's just a separate entity now. Yeah. So Mission Marisol is its own thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny too because I just went to like a gallery in LA.
Which one do you remember?
Over a week ago, I think. It was near like Silver Lake.
I'm so bad with directions.
Oh, okay. I can't tell you. I couldn't tell you. But anyways, so what I was gonna say is now hearing kind of your perspective on it from the business side as someone who is just like a consumer of it. Yeah, you just kind of show up and you're like, you kind of expect those things. You're like, oh, there'll be food and alcohol and paintings, and like you don't have to do anything, right? You just pay and show up. But it's amazing how much hard work goes into all those events. You know?
1,000%. And we had an incredible team that Evan and I told them up front. I said, guys, you're gonna be learning, because with internships, I want it to be, the reason I created the internship program is because when I was younger, I wish there was an internship program for me, and there just wasn't, where I could learn hands-on the things that I wanted to. And so I created the internship program. With the interns for Mission Marisol, I was straight up, I was like, you guys are going to be learning with us. Like, we're going to be discovering together. Yeah. And but we were all excited about it. So they were so wonderful. And at the very end, the day after the event, 2 days after the event, we all got matching tattoos, which was pretty great.
That's so dope.
That's how excited we were about it, And so, it just has this compound effect of people that are excited. Not only did it help the kids in Mexico, but other artists were able to participate in something that was so cool. And this other artist, she approached me after from Australia. She came and visited me in the studio. And she said, you've inspired me to want to be able to help women with body images. And so she draws paintings. She draws on naked women and will paint on them in a beautiful way to let them know that their body is art. And she's had beautiful stories. She said this one lady came up to her after and she's like, and she'll photograph them. So it's this whole artistic process. And she said, I was recently divorced. He cheated on me. I thought I was worth nothing. And because of this whole process, I feel like I'm special now. you know?
Yeah.
And she's going to do a campaign similar to ours where she's raising money for these women. And
That's
so it's just like,
insane. Just look at that
right?
domino effect from
Yeah, and
you
I'm sure
starting your
she's going
thing.
to inspire other people, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's just like a chain of things that you couldn't have ever had predicted is just going to happen. Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Someone said that to me maybe like a month ago, but they said like you're never gonna be able to see like the impact you've had on
Yeah.
people just
Yeah.
because it's so it's yeah that's kind of why I shared like the positive thing at the beginning of the podcast is because like I think it's literally like proven that like if you see someone doing something nice
Mhm.
and like you see someone giving a homeless man money on the street and you're not even involved in the interaction but you see it, it like makes you feel good,
Yeah.
you know, so
Yeah.
yeah, that's
Or even
that's
like covering
awesome.
the person in the drive-through behind you, or even because we're talking about big things, but even little things. Like I think I said I was having a shitty day. I had to go to Home Depot, and like the girl at Home Depot, she looked at my shoes. She goes, "Girl, I love your shoes," and I was like, "Thanks, I got them from Walmart for $5." And she was like, "That's great," and that completely transformed my mood.
Yeah.
You know, and she didn't have to be like, "I like your shoes." Like she was working, doing her own thing, and she was like, "I
Yeah.
like your outfit." I was like, "Thanks." So
Yeah.
even little things like that, it can, you know, really boost someone's mood even for a little bit. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool. Yeah.
That's awesome. So yeah, we're pretty much wrapping things up. Do you have any advice for someone listening that you know, maybe they want to go into art but maybe not, maybe like whatever it is that they're interested in doing, um like what through the things you've gone through, is there any
Mhm.
type of advice of something that has really helped you?
Yeah, shoot. I mean, obviously, don't let people tell you what you can't do. I think not every piece of advice that someone gets is good for them. Having said that, seek advice. That's one of the best things that I ever did. That's how we could put on an event. That's how I became an artist. Is you just ask, be extremely curious. And it's hard sometimes, like if you're introverted and you don't want to talk to people, you just have to push past it. And that's how you know if it's worth it, if you're willing to be a little uncomfortable and things like that. Another thing, as far as like specifically fine art and or finding your passion, I think people need to kind of discover their passion, and to do that you just have to try
You have to
things,
try shit, you
because
know.
you're
Yeah.
never gonna know. Some
Yeah.
people get lost because they're like, "Oh, I don't have a passion, I don't know what my direction is." Well, just try things, and like, and save up to try things, and work hard so that you can try things and figure out what it is that gets you excited. And if you're good at that, that's the combo of like keep pushing forward,
Mhm.
you know. And good, especially in the art world, and I'm sure in a lot of other things, it's very like it can be different in different ways. But I think if you're willing to push past the uncomfortability of doing anything to be successful, like you just got to keep going, you know? So
Yeah.
just keep trying. And if you try something and it's not your thing, then move on to something else. There's nothing wrong with that at
Yeah.
all.
Yeah, I kind of I was telling our sound guy Martine a little bit ago that like I used to hate running and then I did it like enough to where like I fell in love with it. So now I'm almost looking at everything as like, wait, maybe I should try this even though I
Yeah.
hate it, you
You're like,
know?
maybe this will
Like
be fun. Yeah. Which is
yeah.
insane. I know. That still trips me over. Like, I didn't like running because that's kind of where I'm at right now. And I'm trying to picture, like, myself running across America. And I was like, damn, like I mean, that's so cool that you were able to go from, I don't really like this, to loving something so much. And you never would have known unless you just went to that run club
Yeah,
and just
yeah.
tried it out, you know?
Okay, so the way I did it the first episode, and I just kind of like to end it like this, is we both kind of share something, just one thing maybe that you're grateful for right now. You could start.
Well, I guess I'll just go with the first thing that comes to mind because it's what I'm going to right after this. I'm just grateful for, I think, my team, the people surrounding me. I really am, because they genuinely get excited about the things that I get excited about. And like yesterday, so we're redoing the floors, and actually, no, it's not yesterday, it was all last week. And it just put me out of a studio for practically like 4 or 5 days. It sunk so much time. You know, and I was stressing about to move stuff back in because we had to move everything out. But I texted my team and I said, hey, like, can anyone help with this? And they're like, yeah, we'll help you out. And just to have a group of people, a support system like that, I think is something that's just so beautiful to have, and I'm extremely grateful for that. I really am, for all the different members on the team. And I love, what's fun is getting someone come on the team as a stranger and then just having a beautiful friendship formed. I feel like that always happens when I end up working with someone.
Yeah.
Just because, they're great people, and it's just fun to have them. So yeah, extremely grateful for that, to have a wonderful team.
That's amazing. Well, I'm thankful for my team. We're a small little team, but me and
Yes.
Martine, I feel like that rhymes. Team Martine.
It does.
Anyways, yeah, I'm very grateful for all the help he's helped me with this podcast, and it's been fun because we're friends too. And then one more thing, the thing I was gonna say is my sister had this surgery for hearing because she lost her hearing this past year. She had a cochlear implant put in yesterday. That was the surgery, and it went really well. So,
Wow.
yeah,
So can
really
she
grateful
hear
for that.
now?
It's gonna take a little bit of time. I think it takes maybe like a month or two until
Yeah.
it like really adjusts, but it's
Yeah.
supposed to help a lot.
Oh,
So,
that's awesome.
yeah, so
That's
that was
insane.
a big relief and really grateful for that. Last but not least, I noticed you're almost a 100,000 followers on
I
Instagram.
know.
So, I don't know when you're gonna hit it, but very soon. And I got you $100 gift card for wine.com so you can get some more wine.
That is the most thoughtful thing.
Yeah, so it'll
Oh.
like send you the gift thing tomorrow
Oh my
apparently,
God. Are
but
you serious?
yeah,
That's so sweet.
yeah,
Thank
so
you. I'm gonna
um
share it with the team.
yeah,
I'm gonna be like,
yeah,
this one's up. You should come with us. Like,
yeah.
that'd be fun.
That'd be fun. And then like
Oh,
maybe I'll see a picture of you like in a few weeks making a
we for sure gonna
painting
give you a
with
shout out.
the
Yeah.
wine you're drinking. So
Oh,
yeah,
thank you. That's like incredibly thoughtful.
yeah, yeah.